Welcome to the channel. I'm Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist, Gosford, Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. How important are your children to you, and how wise are you when it comes to their development? Did you get them over the infantile hurdle? The selfish, I'm privileged hurdle? There's a bike I built with one of the kids on it. One of the kids' friends, actually. That was a monster, that bike. Beautiful bike. Proverbs 20 verse 7 says, "The righteous man walks with integrity, and blessed are his children after him." One of the things that interests me about this scripture is if you go to the top of Proverbs 20 at verse 1, where it introduces the whole chapter, the writer says, "Wine is a mocker, strong drink is a brawler, and whoever is led astray by them is not wise." That gives us a clear indication that millenniums, thousands of years ago, people knew that substances, alcohol, and all these things led to brawls, led to mockery, and definitely led people astray, proving that they were fools. You see, thinking they were wise, they become fools. But there are good men who walk with integrity. And the promise is, blessed are their children after him. Now, to be real, I'm not sure if that's the case in all circumstances or all instances. But it is a promise, it is a guide to give us hope for our children. A righteous man knows how to discipline his children in a way in which they mature. They're willing to face themselves in a way in which they mature. They look on the inside. They examine themselves, they introspect, and they grow. That's the job of a parent. It's not the job of the parent to lead them towards substances and alcohol, unnecessary medications, where they become mockers and psychological or physical brawlers, and where they're led astray by foolishness. That's why righteous people lead by example, you see. It's the example that we set. The righteous person walks with integrity. It's not the talk, it's the walk. This is one of the beautiful things about the Bible. It teaches you how to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. And when you lead by example, in the middle of the chaos and the growth spurts and the upturns and the confrontations and all the rest of it, the children learn They just look at you and they know that's the way I need to go. My parent is right. I can see by the way they've lived that this is an unshakable way. The next verse brings us back to the king of verse 2, who roared like a lion because he was frustrated by the people around him, the insolence and incompetence. In verse 8 of Proverbs chapter 20 it says, "A king who sits on a throne to judge sifts out all evil with his eyes." Now this is easy to do, or is it? No, not necessarily so. It takes a lot of light to understand how to discern good from evil. It's not just something you make up in your head. You have to be able to see the situation and the circumstances and be able to interpret it and understand it and give its judgment without bias. That's why there's a heavy weight on judges in courts, and when they get it wrong, there's heavy penalties for them as well. Usually. Solomon, the writer of the Proverbs, most of the Proverbs, was confronted with two women who were fighting over one baby. And to cut a long story short, Solomon said, "Okay then, I've come to my judgment." He said, "We will kill the baby." And the mother, the real mother, stood up and shouted, "No!" In a split second, the other woman just sat there. Solomon sifted out the evil with his eyes. You see, when we're going to lose something that we value, we'll jump up and go, "No, that's mine and I value it." But if we don't value it, we just leave it. Just leave it to die. That's how you work out the wheat from the chaff. And unfortunately, if you value your life and your time, you'll do it. Whose baby was it? Solomon said, "I'm going to kill this baby." And the mother jumped up immediately and said, "It's mine, please don't kill." The other woman was exposed by the first woman's passion, by the real. See, the real is afraid to lose what's valuable. The unreal, just let it go. And I've seen this many times in relationships. See, anybody can turn up and pretend to be a lover. Anybody can turn up and pretend to be a mother. But when push comes to shove and things need to be resolved, oh yeah, that's when we find out. That's when the person stands up and says, "No, this is mine. I don't want to lose it," while the others just fade into the darkness. Verse 9. You don't want to lose what you love. And if you do, you're the fool of verse 1. The mocker, the brawler. Verse 9 says of 20, Proverbs 20, "Who can say, I have kept my heart pure? I am cleansed from my sin." That is a very complicated and confronting question, isn't it? Remember the example of the religious people that wanted to stone the woman to death for committing adultery. And by the way, the background of that story is it seems that they set her up so that they could have someone to test Jesus with. So they brought this woman to Jesus and said, "Hey, this woman's committed adultery. She deserves to be stoned." And Jesus wrote something in the sand with his fingers. They believed possibly one of the 10 Commandments, because they were written on tablets of stone with the finger of God. And Jesus looked up and said, "You who are without sin, you cast the first stone." And one by one they walked away. The woman turned to the Lord, and the Lord said, "Go and sin no more." None of us are exempt of sin. We all have a sinful, evil nature. And it's just a matter of what we let it do to us. Remember the golden rules, not to harm yourself or anybody else. And all harm originates from sin, the sin that's within. Who can say, "I have kept my heart pure, I am cleansed from my sin"? Well, if we go back to verse 7, it says the righteous person walks in integrity. That doesn't mean they have no sin. It means they've made a choice to walk in integrity. And the reward of that is their children are blessed, because they're leading by example. The only person that can really say that I've overcome sin is the one that turns to the Lord and his crucifixion. He paid for our sin. But I'll save that story for another day. Verse 11. Even a young man is known by his actions, whether his conduct is pure and upright. It all comes back to walking in integrity, doesn't it? And if you're not, even if you're a young man, you're known by your actions, because your actions display your thoughts. They might even display your connection with sin. And it's our actions that determine whether we are pure and upright in our conduct. I'll finish with 13, verse 13 of Proverbs 20. Do not love sleep, or you will grow poor. Open your eyes, and you will have plenty of food. This is Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist. Thank you for joining me, and bye for now.